Good morning, everyone. This is Sylvia McCrory here again from Christian Parenting Today, and I have another book that I would like to review and to read a few passages from. This is one of the books that I use in my parenting class, so I hope that you will enjoy it, and I hope that you'll buy it for your sake. Because it has wonderful practical advice, and especially if you have that school-age child, um, some of the advice is just wonderful. So let's get started. Let's take a look at the book we have today. And that book is called Their Name is Today, Reclaiming Childhood in a Hostile World by Jana Kristoff Arnold. And here is the book. Um, Wonderful book. And let me get started with just a few of the passages. I hope that I will um, uh, pique your interest, that you will go out and read this. It is an easy read. I have read this book, I know, 4 times for my class, and it's just wonderful. So let me start with some of the passages. This is practical advice, things that we don't think about. Sometimes we are allowing commercials, allowing educators, other people to um, to decide what's best for our children, and sometimes we are so swept up in what other people are telling us that what is our gut instinct is kind of lost in that. So let me read a few passages. This first one that I am going to read. I'm sorry, let me find that one. Okay, this one is from an educator in Australia. Her name is Maggie Dent, and he has quoted her. And she's talking about children's play. What she says is unstructured, child-centered play has enormous benefits for young children, and those benefits cannot be tested by benchmark testing. Our capacity to be creative thinkers and innovative problem solvers comes from using our own mental processing, to explore the world. How much do we need to value creative thinking? Given the speed of change sweeping our modern world, there are no answers in textbooks about how to manage unexpected change, and this is why we are disabling our children by stealing their capacity to use play, to learn, to explore, to question, and to solve problems. They are biologically wired to learn from their experiences, provided those experiences are engaging and interesting. Every year, children are further pressured to do too much too soon. And I think that you will find that in a lot of the school systems. And I'm not talking negative about school systems, I'm just saying that we really need to let our children be children for as long as possible. So here is another interesting passage. This one is, it centers around technology, and this one is interesting. In Los Altos, California, children of Google, Apple, and Hewlett-Packard executives attend a Waldorf school, the New York Times reports. The school's chief teaching tools are anything but high-tech: pens and paper, knitting needles, and occasionally mud, not a computer to be found. No screens at all. They are not allowed in the classroom, and the school even frowns on their use at home. Schools nationwide have rushed to supply their classrooms with computers, and many policymakers say it is foolish to do otherwise. But the contrarian point of view can be found at the epicenter of the tech economy, where some parents and educators have a message: computers and schools don't mix. Now, with our current pandemic, a lot of people have been relying on computers, and I understand that, and of course I'm using one right now, but to make it the center of learning. Again, this is the point of view. You're going to have to come to your own conclusions, But isn't it interesting that people that are in the field of technology choose not to use it for an educational tool for their own children? So I think that's um, quite enormous. All right, another passage, and this is just full of wonderful, wonderful um, bits of information, and it is written very easy to read. This one is about Albert Einstein, and it says, Einstein didn't speak until he was 3. Einstein is one of my heroes, not as much for his scientific brilliance as for his wisdom and humility. He often spoke up for true learning. I am neither very clever nor especially gifted. I am only very, very curious. On 2 other occasions he wrote, the important thing is not to stop questioning. Curiosity has its own reason for existing. One cannot help but be in awe when one contemplates the mysteries of eternity, of life, of the marvelous structure of reality. It is enough if one tries to comprehend a little of this mystery each day. Never lose a holy curiosity. I sometimes ask myself, how did it happen that I was the one to develop the theory of relativity? The reason, I think, is that a normal adult never stops to think about problems of space and time. These are things which he has thought of as a child. But my intellectual development was retarded, as a result of which I began to wonder about space and time only when I had already grown up. So, in today's world, Einstein would have been labeled with a learning disability. He would have had all sorts of labels. So, in this particular chapter of the book, he is talking about um, we are so quick to label children that maybe we are too quick. So, again, another interesting section. Um, one other section. Okay. This is talking about the world in which we live today. Irreverence for children pervades almost everything in a culture that glorifies sex and violence at the expense of innocence and gentleness. While no one is unaffected by this destructive bent, the greatest victims are always children. Often it seems that they are not given the chance to grow up at all. They are thrown into adult life before their hearts are able to distinguish between what is good and what is glamorous. They end up copying the worst of adult behavior without knowing what they are doing. They may not be grown up, but they are no longer truly children either. So again, our our world is bombarded with sex and violence, and it's coming at the expense of the innocence of children today. This is in this particular passage, it's about compassion. We can talk about compassion, but it's more likely to be real when we volunteer with our children at a soup kitchen or the Special Olympics, or take them to visit a senior citizen or hospital. The more frequent the visits, the more understanding will grow in children's hearts. Instead of reacting fearfully or pityingly, they will respond with their hearts, and respect will follow. Lena, a teacher and writer, tells of her family's experiences. It doesn't have to be complicated, but it's really important to show children how to treat everyone with respect. If you don't show them, it doesn't matter how many times you tell them. And I have heard many, many parents talk about children today and that they are not compassionate, but are we giving them that opportunity to to learn to be compassionate? And then I have one other passage, and then we'll wrap it up for today. Um, for whatever else might define childhood, one thing is constant. It is the gathering place of life's first and most indelible memories, the unaltered frame for all the experiences that accompany us through life. And thus, in the end, the task of bringing up children is not only a question of effective parenting, and even less one of educational insights, theories, or ideals. It is first and foremost a matter of the love we give them, which has power to awaken more of the same even years down the road. Our childhood is powerful to us. Um, we a lot of the way that we relate to people is based on our childhood. So that's it for today, and I hope that you will buy this book and read it. And the name of it, Their Name is Today, Reclaiming Childhood in a Hostile World. Have a great Saturday. Good to be with you.